Hey, this is Adam Driscoll, and today we're going to be looking at how to run a PowerShell action when a process is started on Windows. So what we're going to be using today is the register sim indication event commandlet. And we need to set a couple parameters on here in order to start listening to events. So what I'm going to set is a source identifier, and we use that to kind of look up our event later if we need to get rid of it. So we're just going to call this one new process. From there, I'm going to specify a query, and my query is going to be looking for instance creation events that happen within the last 2 seconds, and we're going to be looking for a Win32 process. So I'm going to do select star from instance creation event within 2. So that's the polling interval. That means that our event registration here is going to poll every 2 seconds. You can actually go below a second, but WMI may reject it because it's too low of a value and it's kind of like process intensive for it to do that. And you really shouldn't go above 5 minutes, they suggest. So we're looking for target instance is a, so it is a, and we want a Win32 process. That will actually trigger on any process being started, but what I'm going to actually do is kind of limit it to an individual process type, just so that I don't run this on every single process starting. So I'm going to put and target instance.name equals notepad.exe. So now we are just looking for notepad.exe rather than every process on the machine. And finally, we need to specify an action. So what's going to happen now is once I register this, if I start Notepad, it is going to trigger my action. So what I'm actually going to do is I am going to put right host in here so that we can kind of see what this looks like. So when these events are run, you get this events arg variable inside here, and you're going to want to actually get the new event property from there, and then the target instance property of the new event will actually be a Win32 process. So the actual WMI object is passed in through that target instance. So if I pipe that to outstring, it should now kind of format that in a way that I would expect on the command line. So I save that, and let's open Notepad. So you see Notepad opens. Oh, maybe I should run it first. So we run it. It's registered my event. Let's actually open Notepad again. Notepad opens, and then within 2 seconds you should see information about Notepad show up on the bottom here. So you can see it printed out its process ID, notepad.exe, handle count, working size, that kind of thing. So once you actually have an event registered, what you can do to actually get rid of it is use unregister event, and then you got to use the source identifier that you specified. So I did new process, new process, and once I run that, my event subscription is no longer there. So if I do Notepad again, now it won't print out that Notepad. So you can see there, my event is effectively gone. So if you wanted to get really funny with it, what you could do is you could actually prevent apps from staying open. So if I did get process ID, and then I got the process ID of this particular process, and then I piped that to stop process. Anytime I open a Notepad, it is now going to close that Notepad within 2 seconds. So if I do Notepad, you're going to see Notepad open, and then Notepad closes. So you can kind of mess with your coworkers that way. But this does have some pretty good auditing and logging capabilities as well. Do note that once you close this PowerShell process, for example, if I stop this integrated console, my event subscription is no longer valid because that PowerShell process is no longer there, and I open my notepad and it stays running. So if you did kind of want a persistent event like this, you'd have to have a long-running PowerShell process. So in this video, we looked at how to use the register sim indication event commandlet to register for when processes start in Windows and take action using PowerShell.